What's up, everybody? GM. Happy Thursday. It's Web3 Breakfast. Coming at you, 9 a.m. Eastern, baby. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're having a great week. I was going to say something else there, but then I didn't. I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing all right. Welcome to the show. This is Web3 Breakfast. Man, what a beautiful morning. What a beautiful morning. Let's see. Make sure, as you guys are taking your seats, as you are shuffling into the auditorium, make sure that as you walk by your aisle greeter that you smash the like, you hit the heart, you do what you gotta do. Also, you're gonna want to make sure, we're getting at it early today. I'm gonna get this thing posted up there right now, right into the Jumbotron, the Jtron. All right, here it is. There it is. Live today on Web3 Breakfast. It's the US dollar crisis. Could it be Bitcoin's tipping point? Now, you guys know that today is Thursday, and Thursday on the shows, as of late, we're talking about Bitcoin. Now, we're not talking about BRCs. We're not talking about ordinals today because that's boring. We're talking about the US dollar collapsing and what it means to Bitcoin in the crypto market. This was something that I'd seen earlier this morning. I thought, hey, that's appropriate for today because, you know, the last couple of weeks we've talked about some of the little details again of the whether it's coins or ordinal stuff, and this is a little bit more broad of the market. I get, but it is Bitcoin oriented and related. So I think this would be a fun conversation for today. So also, as I was just mentioning before I said that, make sure you go up to the nest because up there is the post that's got the information that you're going to want to do in order to qualify for the potential of you winning $100 in Gotti at the end of this show. You want to make sure that you follow the Web3 Breakfast account. You're going to want to make sure that you follow the Gotti account. You can click the links right there directly from that post, tag some friends, get that thing out, and then yeah, if you can be watching on the live stream or listening here, love it. We love it. But how's everybody feeling? We got a nice little speaker panel up today. We got Mr. Dude, my co-host, Carrie, my co-host, Corey, sometimes is the co-host, just a speaker panel today. We got M-Kid, Modern Canadian, Neil. You guys, if you want to chat today, if you want to be a part of the conversation, all you got to do is raise your hand. Join us.
I'm raising my hand. I just heard 47 people leave that are ordinal supporters that you just pissed off.
Good. Get out of here. We don't want you.
Hey, we should get some house cleaning done, though, just for you specifically, M-Kid, because I know you're going away. So just so people are aware of the
we got to scare everybody because when the founder Dev goes away, you know, on a little vacation to celebrate his daughter's birthday, you know, that scares people. So.
God forbid you take it down. Well, now remember, we did talk about this the other day. You have to be tweeting multiple times a day, or else people are going to panic sell.
Oh yeah. Here's the best part. I will be tweeting. I just do not, you know, call me Chicken Little, but when I travel internationally, I do not take any crypto with me. I have another phone that specifically that I travel with that has 0 wallets on it whatsoever. Just because, you know, you go internationally, you have different rules and different regulations. And if somebody seizes your phone and, you know, there's millions of dollars of crypto sitting in there, yeah, I don't want to even open that door. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I do the same thing.
Don't you feel like a badass though?
Dude,
like walking over the border with like tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket and nothing anybody can fucking do about it. I love that fucking feeling. So I'm sorry.
I do both. I definitely do both. I sometimes, now it depends on the length of travel, where I'm going, what I'm doing, what time of the year it is. Like, is there the potential that I'm going to need some of this crypto or that I'm going to need access to it to make some moves, whatever. So it's very situational for me. But I, like you, M-Kid, also have what I call the crypto phone. And that thing is basically covered in gold. It rarely does leave the house unless it's coming with me to the studio. That's like it's farthest journey. But for the most part, same thing, man. I love having the separation of crypto and my cell phone. I don't like them on the same
there's
device.
One thing about, you know, if it's my personal crypto, that's one thing. But, you know, I have an entire community and I'm responsible. You know, I feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to my community. So I'm never going to do anything that jeopardizes or puts at risk. It's just not necessary, right? So the phone goes into the safe. It gets locked up, you know, when I'm not here. And, you know, it's just another thing you can do.
All right, let me ask you a question. Then I want to get to Gringo's hand. So say you're somewhere and something happens. Bitcoin rips up to some crazy announcements been made. Every government in the world is basically at an arms race for how much Bitcoin they can secure. All of a sudden, the price is like $2 million a coin. Do you get a jet and go home so you could take some profits? Or you just say,
Nah. Oh no, I've sold my last Bitcoin many years ago. All the Bitcoin I have, that's my kids. They're going to my children. So my children will have that. Again, I love Bitcoin. I love Ethereum. The price today, there's no price that Bitcoin or Ethereum could hit today that would ever entice me to even want to sell one. I don't care if Bitcoin goes to $250,000. You have to look at the long-term thing of this. If I give this to my kids, what's it going to be worth in 2035, 2040?
Somebody said recently,
my man,
the in year 2050, I believe the price prediction for Bitcoin is like insanity, right? And so, I think about that same thing, like you said, like, well, all right, perfect. Like that, in 2050, that's how many years from now? Say 25. My daughter she'll be less than 30 years old. Like, can you imagine like how that changes someone's life?
And that's
if you're selling Bitcoin now, you're fucking crazy. I'm just gonna say it.
Straight up for my kids. That's God's blessed me enough in crypto. I have pulled profits out in crypto. I've done extremely well. Fundamentally changed my life for the better. Awesome. But there just comes a point where you have these tokens, and what are they for? They're for my kids. It's their future. It's their children's future, and I believe in crypto that much that I would never even want to even jeopardize selling one. Can you imagine selling one Bitcoin at 50,000 or 100,000 when this thing could be $2 or $3 or $4 million a token? Yeah, it may be 2040, maybe 2045, but that's the future. I mean, that's 20, 20 years.
Yeah, and as long as you've got the runway to get yourself there, like, what does it matter? You don't need it. So
no. That's again, you get to the point in crypto where you start thinking about other people. And I think a lot of you guys are there too. I mean, most of everybody I know in crypto it's always to improve what? Mostly, for some of you guys, it's just yourself, but for most people, it's to improve your life and your kids' lives and, friends and family. And I guess I think it's going to be incredible. I mean, I think the future, is it bumpy from time to time? Of course. It's, it is what it is. But if you look at the grand scheme, zoom out on that chart, man. Bitcoin's been in a bull run since 2009. It never stopped.
And it's literally been up and to the right since then. Yeah, you've got some chop, but I agree with you, man. Then that's the whole point of. Can you imagine? Like, now you're an OG, right? We know that you were early. Like, I was one of the first decaders, right? Like, I was in the first decade, and I think a bunch of people, several people in this room, I know for a fact, have been as well. So it's cool. It's like, as we grow and as the industry grows and the ecosystem grows, like, that's something that obviously, like, there's the true OGs and all that, but we were here for the first 10 years of crypto. Like, how cool is that? We're a first decader, and that means that as long as we play our cards right, man, we all have the opportunity to fundamentally change our lives and the people around us, which that's the goal, brother. That is absolutely the goal.
Well, it's perspective. Like, people like Ethereum. Oh man, it's really shitty. It's at $2,400. Dude, when I got in Ethereum and I was mining it was $3. So I mean, shitty $3. My first Bitcoin I purchased was like $4.93.
Dude, it was funny back in the day.
It went down into the $3 range when I owned it, and then it went up to.
He was trying to get some PCP off of Silk Road.
Dude, that's funny. I know
Bitcoin,
Ben and Gringo both had their hands up. I want to get to that in a second. But like, back to what you were saying, back in the day, like, my buddy and I at the gym, we used to play, I don't know, more than 5 games of basketball, pickup basketball, like, every single day in the morning, right? Games of 21, something like that, right? And we would bet Ethereum every game. And we would keep a tab and we'd pay out, like, at the end of the week and stuff. And it was like, it was no big deal at this point, right? Like, now, like, sometimes we'd be like, oh, dude, double or nothing. We're like, sometimes we'd be playing for 3, 4, 5 Ethereum a game. You wouldn't be doing that now. I mean, you could, but
I never forget mining Ethereum, and we were selling the shit out of it, $3, $4. And when it hit $15, me and my other mining friends were like, maybe we should keep some of this.
This might be something one day. This might
yeah,
be.
you know, when it hits $15, you start asking questions like, well, shit, maybe this, maybe we shouldn't be just liquidating every single freaking token we mine. But it's a beautiful journey, guys.
It is, but hey, and it is, brother. It is a brothers and sisters, I should say. It is a mixed bag of emotions too, right? You ride the highs and the lows and all that stuff, and you know we all got the PTSD. You've heard my story. You know, you hear the story about selling the tops, but then you know you miss a few of those opportunities, and then you've heard my story about BNB, where I sold all my BNB at $8, thinking I was the boss, man. I was like, hell yeah, we did it, baby, we won. And then like within a few months, it was like $500. Like, you know what I mean? So like. Yeah, it's a game. It's a game, and we're all learning how to play it.
Here's the fun thing to think about it. I don't think you can go wrong buying Bitcoin today, whether it's $56,000, $61,000, $52,000, $49,000. Yeah, you may be out of money for a short period of time, but if you go look at the grand scheme, the next 12 months, 18 months, 36 months, you're going to probably be up a shit ton of money. I just don't think you could go wrong. It's just the timing of, you know, if you're okay just being down, if you buy it at $56,000 today, okay, it goes to $52,000 in the next week or two. Okay, you're down a little bit of money, but just hold the son of a bitch. You'll be back up, and you know, forget that even you were even down.
Facts. It's a market. It is cyclical. All right. I know. Let's see, Mike, you got your hand up, but I know Gringo had his hand up. So did Ben. Gringo, did you still have a question or anything to talk about?
I just want to say good morning. Hello, friends. Yeah, it's, you know, I was going to say, like, that's how I got started. Silk Road, I used to buy crack. So I'm just kidding. But, no, but I love the conversation. And, you know, I got to piss on the Cheerios a little bit here. You know, I still believe investing in all of the new Bitcoin protocols is the next best thing to Bitcoin itself. And I just had to say that and annoy some people here. So
no, I
love you guys.
No, I love it. And we'll get back, like, you know, next week. Let's find something. Let's you and I chat over the next couple of days, and we'll figure out, like, you know, what we should talk about next Thursday, and then whether it's a new protocol or something that, you know, people need to hear more about, because that's I think that's just one of the biggest limitations that I have, is that I don't know what's important and what's not in the ecosystem. So
it's always changing too. It's very challenging. But just one real quick annoying, just to blow people's minds real quick. Digital matter theory. Look into that. It will blow your mind. It's the idea that there are patterns recognizable on Bitcoin, and they can predict and make NFTs accordingly. So the idea is they believe there's a digital substance that exists inside of Bitcoin itself on the blockchain. That is digital matter theory. So that's just wanted to throw that out there. All right, bye guys.
Bitcoin's got bodily fluids, baby. Let's go. All right, so I have put that into my Google search. I will check that out after the show. Digital matter theory. Love that. Wow. Let me ask you a really question, Gringo. I know that you are sometimes maybe the more reasonable, or at least you have a different perspective. Bitcoin right now 56. Some people are calling for the 40s, mid, maybe even low 40s. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, honestly, I think it was Mr. Dude just said, just hodl basically, and just wait for all to go back up. So I'm not much of a trader, to be honest. So, but I just think it's so unpredictable right now. I believe it's absolutely being manipulated by Wall Street. So, like, I don't want to give price predictions, but traditionally September is bad. However, I just feel like when the NFT market gets going again, that Bitcoin, all of the NFTs on there are probably going to lead the way. But other than price action, I couldn't say, to be honest. I don't watch charts. I just hodl.
So in your opinion, all right, so Josh, a different question then. In your opinion, you think that the NFT ecosystem, so the ordinals NFT ecosystem, is going to lead the charge when the NFT ecosystem comes back, the cycle, right?
Yes, I really believe so. It kind of reminds me of the early days of Ethereum. Okay. You know, we're all talking about the early days of Ethereum. I know you guys are getting it, which amazing, by the way. You guys are complete badasses getting it like $3 and mining it. I think the earliest I got in was like $75, but it reminds me of the early days of. Oh yeah, it reminds me of the early days of Ethereum DeFi. Do you remember that, when no one believed in it really, no one really understood it? Then out of nowhere, it just melted faces. And that's what I believe will happen with Bitcoin ordinals and stamps. And like I said, the DMT, digital matter theory, like the big collections, like look at Nat Cats. That's the biggest DMT collection. And it already is worth so much money. So yeah, I believe because it's Bitcoin itself, it's like, yeah, Ethereum NFTs, I love them. I have a lot of them, but it's like nothing beats Bitcoin ever.
So I love this. Obviously, as soon as you changed the digital metal theory into DMT, my brain went somewhere completely different. And so next week, guys, J Chains I am digging deep into DMT for next week. Oh, I love that. Digital matter theory, man. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see everybody's active. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. I see we are on not only my YouTube, we're on Mr. Dude's YouTube. Not only that, we're on my X and his X live streaming. So we're live streaming on four different platforms, and we are also on a space. So shout out to everybody joining us. Thank you so much. And if you're in the chat, appreciate you. If you guys want to chat in the space, all you got to do is raise your hand. Come on up and chit chat with us. Ben is awesome. You shouldn't follow him, or you should. What did I say? Shouldn't? That was crazy.
I would never write "you shouldn't follow me" in my own profile.
I know. I don't know how I read it as that either.
It's reverse psychology.
Thank you.
Genius.
Well, whatever it happens to be. I think that Ethereum is more valuable than Bitcoin.
Okay.
And the reason I think that, and this is not any hate to Bitcoin at all, but what we have to understand, or at least think about, is that using Bitcoin is very, very difficult. I can send you Bitcoin, I can buy things on the Bitcoin blockchain, but I can't buy anything and use it in the real world. In large swaths of industries and geographies and et cetera. You guys were talking before about, am I going to bring my phone with my wallet somewhere? And it wasn't for the purposes of taking that money on vacation to then buy things with it. It was for the purpose of potentially trading in a good time when that happens, right? And basically just getting access to the Bitcoin network. But Ethereum actually powers things where people can work with businesses, transact, get opportunities, physical goods, experiences. And I think that that's something that's really important to think about, because while I am a big fan of Bitcoin, it's been easier for it's been both harder for Bitcoin to establish its usage in people's lives to buy and sell goods and services. And it's been easier for governments to make it difficult for Bitcoin to establish itself as a way for people to buy and sell things. And I just think that that's something really important to consider as we go forward.
Let me ask you a question, Ben. And I don't disagree with what you're saying about, and Ethereum is where I spent a lot of my time, specifically in NFTs as well, but even in crypto and coins originally, right, with ERC20s before a lot of the ecosystems really started getting built out and finding different opportunities in different places. But when you look at activity on Ethereum, and I get enterprise level and all that stuff, but look at the gas, look at the Gwei right now, and this is something that we've talked about on Ben's show. There are some other people talking about the activity is just so far off and so low. Literally, gas 2.7 Gwei for a transaction.
Right, but here's the thing. But here's the thing that people are missing a little bit, is that take an NFT, right? It's very, very important from the ethos and ideology of Bitcoin and decentralized networks that it is possible for an NFT to be day traded and traded all of the time, person to person. That said, that is not the inherent. NFTs are not meant to be day traded. NFTs are meant to be purchased and utilized, right? So, and the way that they are utilized does not necessarily generate events on a blockchain, even though they are providing access to things, right?
Correct.
If my NFT is a ticket to an event, I can gain access to that event physically in the real world without that registering an event on the blockchain anywhere.
Correct.
So that's a very valuable thing to think about, right? I don't necessarily need to use the blockchain specifically in order so that I can do the things that I want to do, even though I'm using the blockchain to get access to those things.
Yeah.
That's why I think Ethereum is very, that's why I really think that Ethereum is very valuable and kind of underlooked, you know.
And I agree with you. I agree with you, but I would probably take the next step to say is, you know, Ethereum seems like it was built while the plane was flying, right? And then some other chains or some other things were built to correct those problems. And then from there, you know, we've got L2s, and then we've got some other, you know, chains that have popped up that really are faster, cheaper, more scalable than Ethereum will ever be, you know, ever. And so now it's like,
I mean, on the one hand, that's true, but on the other hand, anything that's faster always is sacrificing decentralization in some way.
But do people,
for example, you're going to have like,
I love it, but do people care? Is decentralization even important?
Well, here's why it's important, right? Because again, one of the reasons why Ethereum is a little bit expensive and a little bit slow is because you have to get consensus from all the validators, and anybody can hypothetically become a validator. Mm-hmm. If I want to make it faster, what I can do is I can say, okay, I'm going to decide who are the actual validators, and I'm going to have a permissioned blockchain. Well, if I do that, that's essentially a centralized database where the organizations that are the validators can get together and say, we don't want to process that person's transaction. We want to process another transaction. We want to now implement a fee, kind of like a bank fee. Banks are centralized. Permissioned blockchains can also be. And once they gain, leverage over a network, that's where that's where problems start. So I'm not necessarily saying that every single permissioned blockchain is going to be corrupted in any way. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that it starts going there a little bit.
Hey, I love that. Now I know Gringo and Mike both had their hands up. I don't know if you guys are.
I feel like Mike is gonna explode.
What's that?
I feel like Mike is going to explode because he's
Mike,
both like a Bitcoin
between Mike and Gringo, if you guys want to add to the conversation, or if you want to bring something else up, I don't know, what your intentions are with the conversation.
Too,
so I'll let you guys
so
handle whoever wants to go first. I don't know who was first. Mike probably had his hand up first, but I don't know.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, Mike. Please.
Yo, GM.
Yo.
All right, so I was going to say something else, but now, after our last conversation, got me heated. Bitcoin is definitely more valuable than Ethereum, and the market cap will show that. The proof is in the pudding. We know where the demand is, and the demand is for Bitcoin. Ethereum has its place. Ethereum is very valuable. I think it's good as a network. When it comes to spending, I think you can spend Bitcoin just as easy as you can spend Ethereum. So if you've ever used crypto.com, you can just throw it on a card. Yeah, maybe the transaction is not settled in actual Bitcoin, but you can spend it nonetheless, right? It's just easy to use, much easier than it was like 5 years ago. As for Ethereum, there's way more things that make Bitcoin valuable. There is no founder. There's not updates every time. To make an update, it's really hard to push an update to Bitcoin. Change things. When it comes to Ethereum, like you said, J-Chains, they're building, as the plane as it was flying. And that's the thing, you're always going to have to get updates. It's never going to be complete. It's always going to be worked on. It's always going to be tweaked and this and that. And eventually, I think when you're always tweaking, always making updates, you may fuck it up. I think eventually somebody might break something and there might be a catastrophe at some point. Maybe they recover from it, maybe they don't. But I'm not saying that it's going to go to shit and it's going to go to zero. But that's just what happens when you have more and more and more updates all the time and changing the direction. Like when they moved to proof of stake, they just essentially said one part of the whole network, they're like, okay, well, fuck you miners. Thank you for keeping our network safe for all these years to get it going, and then screw you, basically. And it went to proof of stake. Now it's less secure. It wasn't as it was more secure when it's proof of work. So now you have a founder, and I have a problem with altcoins when there's and there's founders, because you're withholding stuff, because everybody looks to the founder, whether that's the case or not. They always look to the founder and in the direction where it's going, and it's just a talking point all the time. Like if Vitalik was to disappear from Ethereum, you better believe the price is going to go down. I don't care what people say; it's definitely going to happen. There's going to be no sense of direction. They're not going to know. It's going to be a kerfuffle until they sort it out. Yes, it'll probably come back and probably be fine, but again, like, you're going to have that. You don't have that Bitcoin. You don't have a founder. You don't have someone that's going to lean it in a certain direction or whatnot. And that's also what makes it valuable. Not just like the supply and the tokenomics of it. It's also because there's not updates happening. There's not a founder that's just changing the direction or look at the POS move. That was a huge shift, and the burning mechanism was a huge shift in Ethereum's direction.
Can I just chime in real fast? The way I look at Bitcoin is it's like a gold bar, and I look at Ethereum like a dollar bill. They both have unique intrinsic value. Bitcoin, again, being the store of wealth that it is, and the Ethereum network as a dollar bill that has a little bit more easier utility. And that's just kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
Programmable money.
I don't think you can compare Bitcoin to Ethereum because they're both trying to do two different things. I think, and in regards to our conversation about the US dollar, I think the US dollar will still continue to exist. I think it will be the medium of exchange, but Bitcoin will be the store of value. Bitcoin, like you said, is gold. It's a store of value. Ethereum is a network where you build things on. It's like the app store of the internet. So it has its use case, and it's the best at its use case. And maybe there's other competitors that are a little bit faster, but those that trifecta. You got decentralized, you got speed, and you got and all that stuff like that. You can or security. You can't have all three. You got to pick and choose, right? And people are different. Everybody's unique. Everyone's going to choose what network they want to use. And I think it's the Metcalfe's law. The value of a network will be based on how many users. So whatever people choose to use will be the most valuable.
Well, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to throw in here, in regards to NFTs, anything being done on Ethereum they're trying to figure it out on Bitcoin right now. And I know that sounds crazy because Bitcoin obviously is slower, but right now, for example, has anyone seen how low gas or fees are on Bitcoin? It's like 20 something cents right now. So even with people trading NFTs on Bitcoin, it's still very low, just as Ethereum is at the moment. But here's something very important I'd like to mention is the future of NFTs, in my opinion, is on-chain. So one of the reasons CryptoPunks was so massive, it's completely on-chain on Ethereum. And that's what ordinals and stamps and these other NFTs on Bitcoin are. They're completely on-chain. And why that matters is, for example, on Ethereum, most of the big collections they use what's called IPFS to store the JPEG, for example. So when you think about NFTs, it's basically think of it like a container. You have the image, you have the metadata, and you have the smart contract, and it's kind of bundled together. And so when I say the future is on chain with NFTs, it's because the permanence of it. Anything stored on Bitcoin will naturally be more secure than Ethereum, for example. And I'm not crapping on Ethereum NFTs because I have way more Ethereum NFTs than even Bitcoin. And I believe they both will make it. But has anyone checked MetaMask recently? Bitcoin is now in MetaMask.
Oh, really?
So you can see where this is all building. Yeah. So, and did anyone else notice all the new payment options with fiat in MetaMask? And I'm talking, this is very recent. Have Google Pay in there you can use. You can use PayPal to buy directly in your DeFi wallet in MetaMask, for example. And
and Apple Pay now too.
Oh, yeah, really? Exactly. And why is Bitcoin on there as well? Because they're going to merge it. They are developing these new protocols to make Bitcoin comparable to Ethereum, but you have the option to choose for your purposes, for your business's purposes, where you'd like to store and why. So like, for example, with IPFS, if you store your image on a third-party site that's not decentralized, you don't pay your AWS bill, your entire NFT collection, if you're a founder, can disappear. And so that's why Bitcoin NFTs are so important. They are completely on-chain, whereas Ethereum, many of the big collections aren't. And that's not to say all of them are going to rug pull. They're not. Yeah. But it's just there's advantages to using IPFS because it's cheaper, it's faster, etc. in a lot of ways. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there.
But it's corruptible. It's a little bit more different. Now, are there any? And I know we got some other hands. We'll get to that in a second. Are there any other NFT chains that, or any NFTs that are on chain like Bitcoin would be?
Well, I mean, as far as collections, well, any of them could be. Even the L2s, they could just store them completely on the L2, I imagine. But yeah, Ethereum, again, like the biggest use, CryptoPunks is completely on chain, and people wonder why it's so valuable. Well, and then you look at the fine art world. Why is the fine art world interested in ordinals and these new protocols? Because it's permanent, and that's what the fine art world wants. They don't want, you don't want to have $1 million NFT that might be stored on a third-party server, and they don't pay their bill, and you lose the image. So I just think it's very important to make that distinction about on-chain versus off-chain NFTs, where the image is stored. That is, where the smart contracts are always on-chain. So
I feel you there, man. I love where this is going. Really quick. 1 second. I want to make sure. One thing that we just talked about was, if Vitalik disappeared in the price of Ethereum. So I did tweet that, and I posted it up into the nest. I want to know what you guys think. Would the price of Ethereum go up or down immediately if in the immediate time of him just saying like I just put disappearing. I'm not putting anything catastrophic. Like maybe he just did like what Charles did. He wanted to go hiking in the mountains for 4 days and just disappeared. And people started getting nervous. That's all. That's all.
He was dead. People thought he was dead.
Dude, people freaked out
honestly,
so fast.
I feel like it's pretty simple. If Elon Musk left Twitter, what would happen to the stock price? Right? It would go down. We all agree. It's the same concept. Right? If a founder leaves the company, investors will get scared because they fear that they have no direction. Again, it will figure itself out. But initially, there's going to be people are going to price it in. There's going to be people that are going to sell and then price in, try to take some money, put it away in case there's going to be more of a drop. There's people on both sides of the spectrum. People will hold, people will sell.
That's a fact. Make sure if you guys are watching the live stream, you smash the like or hit the heart if you're watching on X. Tag some friends on the repost. Remember, there is a giveaway at the end of the show. You don't want to miss out on that. Look at the pinned post on my X profile. If you want to try to win some Gotti, all you got to do is just a couple things. Justin Blends, my guy, ran into him in Toronto during Futurist. What's up, dude? This guy's all about Bitcoin stuff.
It's good to be here. Yeah, the truth is, I'm for a lot of things. It just so happens that in 2022, December-ish is when I said the market was going to bottom, and at that point, I just said to myself, you know what? It's like, where does the market start? Where does liquidity flow? Flows from Bitcoin. So let's see what's happening at Bitcoin. Just so happens on the day ordinals went live. So I said to myself, okay, this is something new, and it's obviously going to permeate. It's just going to take some time. But I want to touch on two quick things, because you asked a quick question, and the last question was about whether if Vitalik left or if he disappeared. I would say that the two things that would happen would be, of course, ETH would go down. I'm saying, of course, because that's just what I saw with Ton, for example. But Pepe would definitely start to shoot up for some degen reason. I don't know exactly why. So Ethereum would go down and Pepe would probably start to rise 30-40%. That's just what degens did on Ton. So I'm kind of feeling like they do the same. But so
how many meme coins? How many meme coins would be spun up?
Right, exactly. Right, you get the one of his member, just a close up shot of the member. Who knows? Like just
like Buter Dead would be like the tag. Vitalik Buter Dead.
Right. So super quickly about just kind of touching on Bitcoin. Of course, again, not super maximalist of any sort, but just the reality is that the permanence of Bitcoin NFTs or artifacts, whatever have you, whether it's DMT or you're talking now about things like Opnet, which I definitely think we should be discussing, because with Opnet and so many other, maybe even ARC20, gosh, like so many people are discussing ways of actually bringing smart contracts to Bitcoin. and not even just talking about it. Like apparently it's doable, and we will be seeing such things in the coming weeks. So when it comes to finality or block time, or when it comes to fees, and of course people are talking fractal Bitcoin and this and that, it's not exactly directly Bitcoin, but there are many different platforms that are builders that are creating ways to connect to Bitcoin or to improve Bitcoin in some ways. And I know that sounds like a lot to quote unquote improve, but I would say if you're looking at something like you said, next week, maybe DMT, sure, like definitely those guys, like those, was it Rovi AI? Anyway, I've been into those guys on the Ethereum side, but yeah, there's a lot going on. And simply speaking, like something like Opnet, which I'd strongly recommend you guys look into, could be very interesting. I don't know if it's the game changer that we're all looking for, but it is not another token standard, which we've already discussed. There are many token standards on Bitcoin now, and each of them can suck up as much liquidity as any other blockchain could, right? Directly on Bitcoin though. And but Opnet is something very unique in the sense that what it's creating is a meta protocol that allows Bitcoin to interact with various chains in different ways. And it's not a new token standard, so it's more like a service. And if you look at something like email or HTTP or TCP or something like that, this is similar in the sense that there's no necessarily a financial incentive behind Opnet. It's more of a service that allows us to do new and unique things with Bitcoin. So check that out as well, guys. I'm not a super maximalist. I'm just really, the tech is actually genuinely what got me interested. I just found out later that you can also make money.
All right, I just reached out to that Opnet, the Bitcoin Layer 1 smart contract meta protocol for DeFi tokens, NFTs, DAOs, and more. There is no Opnet token. Opnet only uses native something, Bitcoin. So I reached out to them. I said, I'm learning about learning about what you got going on right now. So hopefully, that's something that, in the future we can get, projects like that, that's part of the DMT thing. Is that what you're talking about, Justin?
No, it's not. It's not part of it. But I'm sure with DMT and everything else can be used within Opnet, whether it's runes or ARC20s, BRC20s, CBRC20s, CFT. Oh, man, there's just too many. They're all able to be used on Opnet. And I'm not shilling Opnet in any way. I just think it's technology, and it's not a token standard. They're not selling anything per se. They do have their token. The main guys have their Moto token, but it's just a new service that you and I can use the same way you use email. Right? Nobody's necessarily getting paid per email that you send. So to me, it has the potential to stick and kind of like ultimately change the way we use Bitcoin. But we'll see. It depends on how the people and the developers use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, Bitcoin virtual machine. That's another service as well, very similar.
The BVMs.
Yeah, it's thinking like EVM, like Ethereum virtual machine, how valuable that is. Imagine if they combine. That's the idea.
So what kind of capability does that have? Because that was the whole thing. Like, if it was an EVM compatible, it was basically anything that was derived from the Ethereum chain, but include multiple blockchains. Now, Bitcoin, is it Bitcoin only if it's BVM?
They're working on right now Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's the ultimate. That's the holy grail. If you can combine Bitcoin and Ethereum DeFi, imagine what that would be worth.
Yeah,
that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, Polygon is doing that right now, essentially, with their ag layer. Right? It's essentially a protocol that will allow for people to move money from completely different chains and then execute transactions on those other chains. Because the one thing, and I'm sorry if I'm boring and I keep going back to this, is that we always have to think about how it practically works in the real world, right? We don't only want to trade things so that number go up, but we want number go up so then I can use number go up to fund a better life or have it or do cool stuff or whatever the hell it is that I want to do. Before I heard somebody talking about how everything should be completely on chain, and I think it was Gringo. Respectfully, I'm going to disagree with that. No, I don't think everything should be. I think there are different use cases. Like again, it's cheaper and faster to use IPFS in a lot of cases. So I'm not saying completely on chain only matters, but I think for the fine artwork, for example, they definitely want on chain. Okay, I hear what you're saying because I agree that if something is exclusively art, then I want to be able to have ownership and access to it. And yeah, I don't want any intermediary controlling that. However, the vast majority of NFTs, they again will effectuate actual things. We don't want to put onto networks just because they're going to choke the network and make them slower. We were already talking about how things, get slower previously. And all, somebody mentioned ton. I just wanted to comment on that quickly for a second about the CEO getting arrested and how that had to do with Vitalik. I truthfully believe that if Vitalik died, the main question that would determine whether or not the price went up or down was whether or not anybody had access to his wallet, because he has a not insignificant amount of ETH. The difference between him and Pavel, though, is really, really vast in that Pavel was creating a way to onboard people to blockchain in a way that was completely outside of government or corporate ability. Ethereum is not doing that, right? Ethereum has a blockchain. However, all of the payment rails that get you on are owned by huge corporations. MetaMask is owned by Consensus, right? It's not somebody that just, coded it and put it out open source. So, that's a little bit of a different situation. We always have to remember that decentralization is not a binary. It's not, yes, we're decentralized, or no, we're completely centralized. It's a spectrum. And that's why these different layer twos come on, not just to make things faster, but to also allow for different things that don't necessarily need to be on chain because it doesn't matter. My favorite example is like a baseball game, or even like a UFC fight, right? They're going to sell tickets. Those tickets are decentralized. I own it. It's in my hand. I'm physically holding it. That said, they still have the obligation to put the show on. And if they don't put the show on, I can't say, well, my ticket means something, right? They still. That's why it's not completely decentralized. There is still a centralizing organization, which is the organization that created the NFT that you're hoping will put on the access, information, event, experience, game that you're hoping to do, right? You could have NFTs in a game and then in Concord. And then if Sony shuts down the game, you own the NFT, but the NFT doesn't do anything. I maybe spoke too long on that one.
No, utility definitely matters. For gaming, that's why Ethereum is going to lead the way. I mean, Bitcoin gaming it would mostly have to be done on the layer twos anyway, like Stacks or Merlin chain, which they're working on. But yeah, for a use case for gaming, I mean, yeah, Ethereum, IPFS and all of that for utility, it just makes more sense for gaming, but they're working on it with Bitcoin too.
But isn't it just like at this point, like just trying to be too much? Like Bitcoin can't be everything. It can't be gaming. It can't be file storage. It can't be currency. It can't be store of wealth. It can't be
not right now.
Correct. And it won't be. It's never going to be. It's going to have its place, and its place will likely be cash. You will use it to purchase things that are consumable, like a soda, because it means that, yeah, for sure.
Why not?
You're going to spend 0.00000001 Bitcoin for a soda. And the reason you're going to do that is,
why not?
Yeah, the reason you're going to do that.
Why do we have to transact with Bitcoin? Why can't it just be like gold? Like no one's shaving off some gold to go buy a sandwich, right? Like this is now our new gold. What we're going to transact with is something completely different. Like, I don't know, USDC, because it's worth $1 and it's normal money to us. It's not something that fluctuates, where now my $20 is worth $5 because some fucking jerk off in some other side of the world decided to say some shit that doesn't fucking matter. That doesn't work. Like that will never be a thing. Like that's why Bitcoin is not going to be a currency. Ethereum is not going to be a currency. Solana is not going to be a currency. It's got to be it's going to be whatever is worth a fucking dollar. Like that's all that it's going to be. That's all it can be. That's what we're used to. That's all we're going to transact. And no one's going to start shaving off like, okay, I got to just get like 0.0000001 of this Bitcoin so that I can go buy the Snickers bar. That's fucking stupid.
I 1,000%
But they're not doing it with Ethereum either.
And it's okay. No, I think that they will. I think that you'll use exclusively cryptocurrencies that are not stable coins, because the purpose of a stable coin is still to give jurisdiction and oversight to a government and a government and a corporation. And people are not going to want to do either one of those things for various reasons. Once those things are becoming harder, which they already are, I 100% believe that people will use Bitcoin to make purchases of consumable products. Because Bitcoin is set up that way. Bitcoin is a one-legged transaction. I can send you Bitcoin, but it does not natively mention within that transaction what I get back. There's obviously ways to document those transactions, but natively, it is a one-way transaction. It just says, I sent Bitcoin to you, you sent Bitcoin to her, she sent Bitcoin to him, etc. Those are perfect for transactions where what I purchased is not important and doesn't need to be written down. Hence,
but on a fluctuating asset like Bitcoin, and even like I get down the road, it's probably going to not be.
The reason
as
it's
volatile.
Fluctuating is because we can't use it to buy things. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, you're fine.
That's rude.
No, you're fine.
The reason it fluctuates so much right now is because of what I said before. Because it's not used for so much, but everybody sees the promise of its technology to give us freedom from governments and corporations, people are speculating on it. However, once all of the Bitcoin is mined and there are sufficient ways to actually use Bitcoin for payments, there is no reason that I'm going to say, yeah, why don't I use my American Express credit card? Or why don't I just send you Bitcoin and nobody has any access to me at all? No, people can't stop that transaction. People can't put fees onto that transaction. Right? None of those things. I for sure 1000% believe that that's going to happen. I could be wrong.
I don't think really nobody's going to be spending Bitcoin and while it's still, while it's in volatile stage, and that's going to take a long time.
Right.
But again, when you study what makes a money, it has to be like, you got to be able to believe that like tomorrow, like a dollar's still a dollar. You know what I mean? Like obviously we have inflation, but that's a year-over-year thing. Like you know that I'm going to buy a piece of gum today, and tomorrow it's going to be the same price. Where tomorrow, Bitcoin could be down 5%, and no one's going to want to spend that shit. Just like you were talking about before, you're buying Bitcoin or Ethereum at like $3, and all of a sudden down the future, when people are thinking that way, like, oh man, in the future this could be worth more. I don't want to risk selling it now and using it for a piece of fucking gum. When we saw the guy that bought the pizzas, right? Nobody wants to be that guy.
No, but you're using you're speaking cross jurisdictionally and not realizing it.
Again, different countries the countries are using it for just buying goods right now, but it depends on where you are. Like in North America,
what I mean is like you're talking about the price of the price of Ethereum fluctuating a lot day to day, relative to USD. However, for something to be a currency, products or services have to be uniquely denominated in that currency alone. So even though the price of Ethereum fluctuates, and even though the price of USD fluctuates, the things that are denominated in USD do not fluctuate day to day. And the things that are not speculative, but the things that are actually products that are denominated in Ethereum do not fluctuate all that much day to day either.
I mean, so wait, are you basically like arguing for like the one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin thing? Like, and I get that. But we're just not, that's not realistic.
What I'm saying is that when Bitcoin can be used to purchase things exclusively in Bitcoin, not to purchase things that exist in USD, but to purchase things that exist exclusively in Bitcoin, regardless of the price of Bitcoin in terms of USD, those products stay relatively stable within that same currency. Just like the United States dollar and the euro fluctuate a lot, but within those two jurisdictions, the products don't.
I think it would be much simpler for a government to just say, you know what, we're going to back our currency to Bitcoin, and we're still going to spend our fiat. It's just backed by a hard asset. So now you have, I think that's, honestly,
but that's not in their interest.
Well, one at a time.
If we have the strategic reserve, I think it's going to put that argument to rest. I think if Trump gets to the power and makes a strategic reserve, everyone's just going to believe it's a store of value. It will be no different than gold. It will be the digital gold.
But that's not in their interest, and they have no intention of doing that. Because having money backed by a hard asset limits the amount of the percentage of the reserve that you can have, right? So for example, if there's $100 that exist in the world, each of us can have a maximum of, and we all have to have some of the dollars. There's a limit to what percentage of the total dollars I can have. Maybe I can have 2%.
False. We know that the world is run on complete debt. So you might have a $100 bill, but I guess what? There's about $25,000 that have been borrowed out on that $100 bill. So I'm sorry.
The reason, but you're actually proving my point without realizing it. The reason that that's possible is because money is not backed by a hard asset, which means that we can create money based off of debt, aka future payments, and print that money and distribute it only to people that we want to distribute it to. And what that does is it takes the money that's in each of our bank accounts and it lowers the percentage of the total amount of money that we have, but it doesn't lower the dollar amount of money that we have. And that's the problem that we've been experiencing over the past 50 years since the United States went off the gold standard in 1972. Mm-hmm. Money was continually printed. It kept on going to the very wealthiest people, which is why we still seem to have the same prices on, I mean, a little bit it's gone up, but the increase in gas over the course of my life has not matched the increase in wealth for the top 10% of people or 1% of people over that same period of time. That was only possible because the USD was not backed by a hard asset. Wealthy people made tons of money specifically because the USD was not backed by a hard asset. They had no incentive to go back. Absolutely none.
Listen, I appreciate everything you said there. This has honestly been one of the greatest conversations that we've had on the show today. I love every second of it. This was fantastic. I love everybody's opinion. We had difference of opinions, and I think a lot of it all makes sense. And I appreciate everybody being respectful with their difference of opinions. I think this was fantastic.
I had to pull out my 10-foot pole today because I'm not touching it.
I think there's one thing that we can always count on is humans will always be human. Humans will always go to the familiar. So I think we will just go to a system where we use Bitcoin and we just borrow against it and have a debt system based on Bitcoin as the backup.
I love everybody's arguments and what they said. Now, before we get into any kind of closing thoughts about today, because I want to hear from some other people on stage about the conversation today, I do want to remind you we are getting dangerously close to picking our gaudy winners today. And so if that's something you procrastinated because you were just captivated by this conversation like I would, like I'm telling you, like a couple times my heart started racing a little bit, like in a really good way, like great when you're really invested in a conversation, you know, mentally and physically and stuff. And so this was awesome. I appreciate everything that happened today in the show. Everybody that, you know, contributed to the conversation. If you sat and listened, if you just sat there and watched on the live stream, thank you. All you got to do to reciprocate is just smash or like or hit the heart if you just sat there and watched. And if you sat there in the crowd and listened, make sure that you, because if you're here in the space, go up into the Jumbotron. And if you are watching on the stream, go to the pin post on my X profile and follow the simple instructions there because I'm getting ready to head on over to Twitter Picker, load that thing up, and we'll get our winner. So 2 people walking away with $100 in Gotti today. It is Thursday. Tomorrow's a big day, though. It's Friday. So I'll talk about that later. KT, you got your hand up. Good to see you, my brother. Back, my guy. KT.
I am back, yeah. And I've got a job in Web3 gaming. So
let's
go. I'm going to have to go with Gringo on a lot of this. Specifically for one reason. Because it's been said a couple times that inflation is annual, year over year, whatever. With the increase in technology and connectedness, that time frame of impact of inflation is shrinking significantly. So the value of a thing in USD, somebody had said that it's $1 today, it's $1 tomorrow. Drive past a gas pump, go look at a gallon of milk, go look at eggs, and go look at commodities that people need every single day. This time last year, I could get all kinds of great food. Now, I gotta pinch pennies to figure out what I'm going to feed my kids because of how quickly the value of a thing in USD is changing. I do think that crypto and other digital currencies will be used increasingly, because I can see the little thing in the convenience store and the gas station. Oh, buy your Bitcoin here, swipe your card. I think it is going to pick up significantly as adoption increases and as the fluctuation in value of traditional currencies starts speeding up as technology gets faster and faster.
Can I chime in real quick here? I think we're in two different camps. You either view cryptocurrency as strictly as an investment, or you view it as something that you wish to use as a currency. Now, when the two merge together, that's a beautiful thing. But I think most people are in that camp of, I want to use crypto to buy things. And then other people, more like myself, view cryptocurrency not as a currency, but as an incredible investment to make shitloads of fiat cash. So that's so you got to be, kind of two different
I'm in
camps.
it for the tech.
But I think there's going to be that marriage of both, right? The investment of the asset, the digital asset, plus the fact of being able to use that asset instantly to buy all the things you want.
But aren't people doing that already, arbitraging international exchange rates with traditional currency?
Yeah, absolutely. There's absolutely people are doing it in different ways. It's just the right now, you can still absolutely do, I have a crypto.com, credit card, not credit card, debit card that, attaches. Same thing with Coinbase. There are ways to do it, but on the grand main scale, mainstream, it's not quite there, but we know that it's coming. So I think that's what's happening. But to me, crypto is right now 99% for me, it's an investment, and 1% the currency aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm like 0% currency with the exception of stable coins like I had mentioned. That's just where I am, right? Like that's all that I would be willing to spend on any kind of services, commodities, goods, anything. And it's USDC because I'm American. I'm not fucking touching Tether. That's Russian shit. You guys can have Tether if you want. I'm a USDC kind of guy because that's who I am. But that's it. This was an amazing show. Again, thank you guys. We got everything loaded up. I'm gonna pick some winners, and then I got to get you out of here. I took you a minute late, and I hate going overtime because I know everybody's busy. They got things going on. So here we go. Drum roll, please. The winners of the Gotti for today, Thursday, September 5th. I almost said August. September 5th is our Priest and Magnus. We got Priest and 8-Bit Magnus. Congratulations. I'll shoot you DM. You both just won $100 in Gotti. Congratulations to you too. Good luck to the rest of you tomorrow. We'll be back at 9 a.m. Eastern for more Web3 Breakfast. Big Friday episodes, as you guys know. I will be back at 4 p.m. Eastern today. Going to be doing the show. I am in the studio all day today. So doing the 4 p.m. Adios, amigos. Have a great rest of your day. See you this afternoon. Do something great. Be great. Hey, Mr. Dude, do you have a show after this or anything? You have anything going on today?
No, we good. We just making some content, putting it out.
Let's go. Thanks again, guys, for being here. Make sure you smash the like or hit the heart on the way out. We're out of here.